Have you ever heard someone you love completely destroy you with their words? Not to your face, but behind your back when they thought you couldn't hear. That's what happened to me. I was walking past the break room at my wife's office Christmas party when I heard her voice, loud and clear, followed by laughter. Honestly, I could dump him any time I want. He's useless. He doesn't even know how much I make or what I do. He just sits at home playing house husband while I actually work. More laughter. Her co-workers were eating it up. And my wife, the woman I had supported, sacrificed for, and loved for 8 years, was mocking me like I was nothing. I stood there frozen, my hand on the door handle, listening to every word, every insult, every lie, and in that moment, something inside me broke. But it wasn't the kind of break that leaves you weak. It was the kind that makes you realize you've been living a lie. And it was time to wake up. My name is David. I'm 34 years old, and for the past 8 years, I was married to a woman named Jessica. We met in college, fell in love, got married young, and built what I thought was a perfect life together. But that night, standing outside that break room, I realized I had been living in a fantasy. And the real Jessica, she was a stranger who had been using me all along. This is the story of how I went from being the useless husband to the man who took back his dignity, his assets, and his life. This is the story of how I proved her wrong in the most devastating way possible. Jessica and I met when we were both 23. She was studying marketing, and I was finishing my degree in graphic design. We were young, ambitious, and madly in love, or at least I thought we were. After graduation, Jessica landed a job at a mid-sized marketing firm called Apex Strategies. She started as a junior account manager, but she was smart, driven, and ruthless when it came to climbing the corporate ladder. Within 3 years, she was a senior manager. Within 5, she was director of client relations. I was proud of her. I celebrated every promotion, every raise, every success. But while her career took off, mine hit a wall. The graphic design industry was competitive, and freelance work was inconsistent. Some months I made good money. Other months I barely scraped by. So we made a decision together. Or at least, I thought it was together. Jessica suggested that I focus on building my freelance portfolio from home while handling more of the household responsibilities. She was making enough to support us both, and it made sense logistically. I agreed. I took care of the house, cooked meals, managed our finances, and worked on designed projects whenever I could. I didn't see it as being less than. I saw it as being a partner, supporting her career so she could thrive. But apparently, Jessica saw it differently. To her, I was just dead weight. A convenient housemaid she could discard whenever she wanted. And that night at the Christmas party, I found out exactly how little I meant to her. Let me paint you a picture of what our marriage looked like from the outside. Beautiful home in a nice neighborhood, 2 cars, Jessica with her successful career, me with my freelance work. We went to dinners, took vacations, posted smiling photos on social media. To everyone else, we were the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, things were different. Jessica was never home. She worked late constantly, travelled for business trips, attended networking events and office parties. At first, I didn't mind. I understood that her job was demanding. I supported her ambitions, but over time, I started noticing things, small things. She stopped asking about my day. She stopped thanking me for cooking dinner or keeping the house clean. She stopped touching me, kissing me, looking at me with the warmth she used to have. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd brush me off. I'm just stressed, David. David, work is crazy right now. You wouldn't understand. And there it was, that subtle condescension. The implication that because I wasn't working a corporate job, I couldn't possibly understand what real work was like. I swallowed it. I told myself it was just stress, that things would get better, that she still loved me, but deep down, I was starting to wonder. The Christmas party was supposed to be a rare night where we could spend time together. Jessica had been hesitant to bring me at first. "It's mostly a work thing," she said. "You'd probably be bored." But I insisted. I wanted to meet her coworkers, see her in her element, be part of her world for once. Reluctantly, she agreed. The party was held at a fancy hotel downtown. The ballroom was decorated with lights, a live band played in the corner, and everyone was dressed in cocktail attire. I felt out of place immediately. Jessica introduced me to a few people, but it was clear she didn't want me there. She kept drifting away, laughing with her colleagues, leaving me standing awkwardly by the bar. After an hour of feeling invisible, I decided to find the restroom. That's when I passed the break room, a smaller side room where some of her co-workers had gathered away from the main party. The door was slightly open and I heard Jessica's voice. I stopped, curious, thinking maybe I should join them. But then I heard what she was saying. "Honestly, David is just, I don't know, he's like a glorified housewife at this point." Laughter from the group. One of her co-workers, a woman I'd met earlier, chimed in. "Wait, he doesn't work?" "He does freelance graphic design," Jessica said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Which basically means he plays around on his computer a few hours a week and calls it a job." More laughter. Another voice, a man this time. "So you're basically supporting him?" "Completely," Jessica said. "He has no idea how much I actually make or what's in our accounts. I handle everything. He just coasts along thinking we're this equal partnership. It's pathetic, honestly." "So why stay with him?" someone asked. Jessica paused. I could hear the smile in her voice. "Convenience, I guess. He keeps the house clean, cooks decent meals, and doesn't ask too many questions. Plus, I can do whatever I want, and he's too oblivious to notice." They all laughed, and that's when my heart shattered. I didn't storm in. I didn't confront her. I just stood there listening to the woman I loved tear me apart for entertainment. And then, quietly, I turned around and walked back to the main ballroom. I found Jessica 20 minutes later laughing with her boss. She looked at me and smiled. "Hey babe, having fun?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, great party." She kissed my cheek. "Good. I'm so glad you came." And in that moment, I knew. This marriage was over. I just had to figure out how to end it on my terms. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to Jessica, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over in my head. "He's useless. I could dump him any time I want. He has no idea how much I make." That last part stuck with me. She was right. I didn't know how much she made. We had always kept our finances somewhat separate. She handled the bills, the investments, the big financial decisions. I contributed what I could from my freelance work, and she told me not to worry about the rest. I had trusted her. I had assumed we were partners. But now I realized I had been kept in the dark intentionally. And if she was hiding her income, what else was she hiding? The next morning, Jessica left for work early as usual. I waited until I heard her car pull out of the driveway, and then I got to work. I started with our joint accounts. I logged into our online banking and looked at the statements. What I saw shocked me. Jessica had been transferring money out of our joint account and into a separate account I didn't have access to. Thousands of dollars every month. I dug deeper. I found investment accounts, savings accounts, even a retirement fund, all in her name only. She had been building a financial safety net for herself while I believed we were sharing everything. But that wasn't the worst part. I opened her email. I know, it's an invasion of privacy, but at that point I didn't care. I needed to know the truth. and what I found destroyed me. There were emails from a man named Ryan, dozens of them, flirty messages, inside jokes, plans to meet up. And then, buried in a folder labelled work travel, I found it. Hotel reservations, dinner receipts, photos of Jessica and Ryan together, laughing, showering, holding hands, kissing. She was having an affair, and it had been going on for over a year. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling like the ground had been ripped out from under me. The woman I had loved, supported, and sacrificed for was cheating on me. And worse, she had been mocking me to her coworkers while doing it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to confront her immediately. But I didn't, because in that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be the heartbroken husband who begged for answers. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. Instead, I was going to be smart. I was going to gather evidence, protect myself legally, and make sure that when this marriage ended, I walked away with my dignity and my fair share. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective. I documented everything. I took screenshots of the affair emails. I copied financial statements showing the hidden accounts. I saved receipts, photos, and text messages. I even hired a private investigator to confirm the affair and gather additional evidence. Jessica had no idea. She came home every night, ate the dinners I cooked, slept in the bed next to me, and continued living her double life. And I let her because I was building my case. I also consulted with a divorce attorney, a good one. She reviewed all the evidence and told me exactly what I needed to do. "You have a strong case," she said. "Infidelity, hidden assets, financial deception. If we play this right, you'll walk away with more than she expects." I nodded. I want to make sure she can't just dump me like I'm nothing. I want her to realise exactly what she's losing. The attorney smiled. "Then let's make sure she does." 2 weeks after the Christmas party, I was ready. I had the evidence, I had the lawyer, and I had a plan. Now it was time to execute it. My attorney advised me to file for divorce strategically. In our state, infidelity could impact the division of assets, especially since Jessica had been hiding money. But I needed to file first, before she had a chance to move more assets or prepare her own defence. So, we set a date. I would file the papers on a Friday afternoon and have them served to her at work the following Monday morning. Public, professional, and completely humiliating. But before that, I needed to secure my own finances. I opened a separate bank account and transferred my freelance earnings into it. I documented every contribution I had made to our household over the years. Grocery receipts, utility payments, home repairs. I wanted proof that I had been an equal partner, not the freeloader she made me out to be. I also reached out to several potential clients and landed 3 major design projects. Within 2 weeks, I had more work than I'd had in months. It was as if the universe was rewarding me for finally standing up for myself. Jessica noticed nothing. She was too busy with her affair and her career to pay attention to me. She'd come home late, barely speak to me, and disappear into her phone. Sometimes she'd claim she was working. Other times, she wouldn't even bother lying. I played along. I cooked her favourite meals. I asked about her day. I acted like the useless husband she thought I was. And every night I went to bed knowing that her perfect little world was about to collapse. The Friday before the papers were served, Jessica mentioned that she had a big presentation at work the following Monday. "It's a huge client," she said. "This could be a major promotion for me." I smiled. "That's amazing, Jess. I'm proud of you." She barely looked up from her phone. "Thanks." Perfect. Her big day was about to get even bigger. Monday morning arrived. Jessica left for work early. Dressed in her best power suit, confident and completely unaware of what was coming, I watched her drive away and then I called my attorney. "Are the papers ready?" I asked. "They're being delivered to her office as we speak," she said. I hung up and waited. I imagined the scene, Jessica in the middle of her presentation, and then the knock on the conference room door. A process server walking in, handing her an envelope in front of her boss, her colleagues, her clients. I imagined her opening it and seeing the words, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." I imagined the shock, the humiliation, the realization that she wasn't in control anymore, and I smiled. About an hour later, my phone started ringing. Jessica. I didn't answer. She called again, and again, 12 times in 15 minutes. Then the text started pouring in. "What the hell is this? You filed for divorce? Call me right now. You can't do this." I didn't respond. I let her panic. I let her feel the same helplessness I had felt when I overheard her mocking me. Finally, she called from a different number. I answered. "David, what the hell is going on?" Her voice was shaking, a mix of anger and panic. "I think the papers are pretty self-explanatory," I said calmly. "You can't just... This is insane. We need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about, Jessica. I know about Ryan. I know about the hidden accounts. I know everything." Silence. David, I can explain. No, I interrupted. "You can't. You called me useless. You said you could dump me any time you wanted. Well, guess what? I'm dumping you first, and I'm taking what's mine." I hung up, and for the first time in months, I felt free. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Jessica hired an expensive attorney and fought me on everything: asset division, spousal support, even the house. She tried to paint me as a freeloader who had contributed nothing to the marriage. But I had evidence. Yes, lots of it. During our first court hearing, her attorney stood up and made his case. "Your Honour, my client has been the primary breadwinner throughout this marriage. She supported Mr. Hayes while he pursued inconsistent freelance work. She deserves the majority of the marital assets." My attorney stood up calmly. "Your Honour, we'd like to present evidence showing that Mrs. Hayes not only engaged in an extramarital affair, but also systematically hid assets from her husband, transferring marital funds into private accounts without his knowledge." She submitted the bank statements, the emails, the photos, everything. Jessica's face went pale. Her attorney looked blindsided. The judge reviewed the documents silently, then looked at Jessica. "Mrs. Hayes, did you transfer marital funds into private accounts without your husband's knowledge?" Jessica hesitated. I was saving for our future." "That's not what I asked," the judge said firmly. "Did you hide these accounts from your husband?" Yes." The judge's expression hardened. "And is it true that you engaged in an extramarital relationship during your marriage?" Jessica's attorney tried to object, but the judge cut him off. Jessica looked down. "Yes?" The courtroom was silent. The judge leaned back. "Mrs. Hayes, you attempted to portray your husband as someone who contributed nothing to this marriage, but the evidence shows that he maintained your household, supported your career, and trusted you with financial decisions, trust you violated repeatedly. This court does not look kindly on deception." Jessica's attorney tried to recover, but the damage was done. Over the next few weeks, the judge ruled in my favour on almost every major issue. I was awarded half of all marital assets, including the hidden accounts. I was granted spousal support for 3 years, ironically, the same amount of time Jessica had been having her affair. And I was awarded the house. Jessica was devastated. She had to move into a small apartment. Her co-workers found out about the affair and the divorce, and her reputation at work took a hit. The promotion she had been working toward, It went to someone else. Meanwhile, I thrived. My freelance business exploded. The 3 clients I had landed turned into 10, then 20. I was making more money than I ever had. I renovated the house, started going to the gym, reconnected with old friends. I ran into one of Jessica's former coworkers a few months after the divorce was finalised. She recognised me at a coffee shop and came over. "David, right?" she said hesitantly. I nodded. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. We all were at that Christmas party and we laughed when Jessica said those things about you. But after everything came out, we realised how wrong we were. You didn't deserve that." I appreciated the apology, but I didn't need it. "It's fine," I said. "I'm doing great now." She smiled. "I can see that." Jessica, on the other hand, well, let's just say, karma caught up with her. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need to. I had already moved on. A year after the divorce, I met someone new. Her name was Rachel, and she was everything Jessica wasn't. Kind, supportive, genuine. She respected my work, celebrated my successes, and actually wanted to be my partner. One evening, Rachel and I were having dinner when my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "I'm sorry, I was wrong about you. I hope you're happy." It was Jessica. I showed the text to Rachel. "Should I respond?" I asked. Rachel shook her head. "You already proved her wrong. You don't owe her anything." She was right. I deleted the message and put my phone away. Jessica had called me useless. She had mocked me. She had betrayed me. But in the end, I proved her wrong in every way that mattered. 2 years have passed since that Christmas party. 2 years since I overheard my wife call me useless. 2 years since I decided to take back my life. And I can honestly say, I've never been happier. My design business is thriving. I've worked with major brands, built a solid client base, and even hired 2 junior designers to help with the workload. I'm making more money now than Jessica ever made at her peak. I bought a new car, something I always wanted but never felt I could afford. I travelled to places I'd only dreamed about. I reconnected with family and friends I had neglected during my marriage. But more importantly, I rediscovered who I was. For years, I had let Jessica define my worth. I had let her make me feel small, insignificant, dependent. But I wasn't any of those things. I was capable, talented, and valuable. I just needed to believe it myself. Rachel and I moved in together last year. She's a therapist, and she helped me work through a lot of the pain and betrayal I felt. She reminds me every day that I deserve respect, love, and partnership. We're talking about getting married, but this time it will be different. This time I'm entering a relationship with my eyes wide open, my boundaries clear, and my self-worth intact. As for Jessica, I heard through mutual acquaintances that she's still at the same company, still trying to rebuild her reputation. She dated Ryan for a while after the divorce, but apparently that didn't work out. Last I heard, she's single and struggling financially after having to split the assets and pay spousal support. I don't take pleasure in her suffering. I'm not that person. But I also don't feel bad for her. She made her choices and she has to live with the consequences. I ran into her once, about 6 months ago. I was at a coffee shop and she walked in. We made eye contact. She looked tired, older, defeated. I nodded politely and looked away. She came over. "David, can we talk?" I hesitated, then gestured to the empty chair. "Sure." She sat down, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I was awful to you. You didn't deserve that." I studied her face. She seemed sincere, but I also knew that apologies don't erase years of betrayal. "I appreciate that," I said, "but it doesn't change what happened." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I know, I wanted you to know that I realise now how much you gave up for me, how much you supported me. And I threw it all away. You did, I agreed. But I'm okay now, better than okay, actually. She wiped her eyes. I can see that. You look happy. I am. She stood up to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, you were never useless. I was just too selfish to see what I had. I watched her walk out of the coffee shop and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just closure. Because the truth is, Jessica didn't destroy me. She just revealed who she really was. And in doing so, she gave me the push I needed to become who I was meant to be. So what did I learn from all of this? What would I tell someone who's going through something similar? First, never let anyone define your worth. Jessica called me useless because it made her feel powerful. It justified her affair, her financial deception, her cruelty. But her words weren't true. They were just a reflection of her own insecurity and selfishness. Your value isn't determined by someone else's opinion, especially someone who doesn't respect you. Second, trust your instincts. I knew something was wrong long before I overheard that conversation. I felt the distance, the condescension, the lack of respect, but I ignored it because I wanted to believe we could fix things. If something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore it. Investigate it. Protect yourself. Third, document everything. The only reason I walked away from my marriage with anything was because I had evidence. I had bank statements, emails, photos, receipts. I built a case that her lawyers couldn't dispute. If you suspect betrayal or deception, start documenting immediately. It might save you later. Fourth, don't let emotion drive your decisions. When I first found out about the affair, I wanted to confront Jessica immediately. I wanted to scream, to accuse, to demand answers. But I didn't. I stayed calm, gathered evidence, and planned strategically. Revenge driven by emotion is messy and often backfires. Revenge driven by strategy is devastating and effective. Fifth, invest in yourself. While I was married to Jessica, I let my career stagnate. I convinced myself that supporting her was enough. But after the divorce, I poured everything into rebuilding my business, my skills, my confidence. And it paid off. Don't put your dreams on hold for someone who doesn't value you. And finally, know when to walk away. I could have stayed in that marriage. I could have confronted Jessica, demanded counselling, tried to fix things. But the truth is, some relationships can't be fixed. Some betrayals are too deep, and sometimes the best revenge is simply moving on and building a better life without them. Jessica thought I was useless. She thought I needed her. She thought she had all the power. But she was wrong. I didn't need her. I never did. I just needed to believe in myself. And now I'm living proof that you can lose everything and still come out on top. You can be betrayed, humiliated, and mocked, and still rebuild. You can be called useless and prove them devastatingly wrong. Because here's the truth. They don't want you to know, sure, how does her behave? My say, oi, or I just try. So, get try go by do she say. Tear you down are usually the ones who are most afraid of what you're capable of. They mock you because they see your potential. They betray you because they know you're stronger than the lie. So if you're going through something similar, remember this. Don't let them define you. Don't let them break you. And don't let them get away with it. Stand up, gather your evidence, protect yourself. And when the time is right, show them exactly what they lost. My name is David. My wife called me useless to her coworkers. She said she could dump me any time she wanted, but I proved her wrong. I took back my life, my dignity, and my future. And I've never looked back.